So, in my last video on Christianity, one commenter asked me, what t- asked me if based on my views on Christianity, that if I saw Jesus as some sort of philosopher, um, and I answer would be sort of, but that's far from the whole story. Um, and it's a good question. I think you know, uh, to say that you're a Christian is not really saying a lot. I don't think you have to ask. When Jesus asks us, "Who do you say that I am?" I think that's not just he wasn't just asking Peter that. I think that's a question that every Christian has to answer for themselves. I mean, what does it mean to say that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, the Lamb of God, the Logos, the Alpha and the Omega, what have you? Um, and I'm still in the process of answering that question for myself. Um, the the best I can answer that for myself is based on a Christian concept called Kenosis. It means the emptying of self. The idea is that God in every moment gives us, uh, offers us an opportunity for transformation and growth and and novelty, and that we sort of can choose between that or habit, what we're in the habit of doing. But that a person who is in greater connection to spirit can develop the habit of following the inner light, the divine guidance that comes to us. Um, and I think and so in a sense they're emptying themselves of their own will, having only the will of God within them. And so in that sense, yeah, and I think Jesus was did that fully and completely. And so in that sense, um, I think you could say that he was God incarnate, in that he had emptied himself of all uh, of all desires except for that which God desired for him. Um, but then, of course, that still doesn't uh, give Jesus a sort of special place, because any sort of holy person could do that. Any person could empty themselves uh, and follow the will of God. But um, but so why is Jesus so special? I think that it's in the sense that Jesus was not just there to teach us the way to God. I think it was I believe it was Karl Barth who said that other prophets came to teach us the way of God, but Jesus is Himself the way. And it's interesting that early Christians called their religion the Way, which also is the translation for the Tao. And I also found an interesting correlation between the concept of the Tao in the East and the concept of the Logos in the West. So, in a sense, Jesus was the incarnation of the Logos. He was the way, the Tao, incarnate in the world. Um, and I think, in a sense, Jesus was enacting the a message of God's love, that of God's self-sacrificing love was exemplified by Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. Um, and yeah, and so I guess yeah, when I talk about Jesus sort of enacting the divine plan, rather being the way, not just teaching the way. I think we don't want to go too far, because we also want to focus on the teachings of Jesus. And if you look at the way that he interacted with people, I think what it was about. If you look at it, he was about breaking down boundaries. He would talk to prostitutes and tax collectors and all the underclass of society, and show that they too had worth and value before God. You talked about the Samaritans. You were who were anathema to the Jews at the time. He was about, I think if you look at it, he was about this sort of universal love, and being your brother's keeper. And I think, in a sense, if you look at it from a spiral dynamics perspective, he was kind of trying to get us out of the ethnocentric consciousness towards a world-centric consciousness. Yeah. So I mean, so in a sense, in spiral dynamics message, his message was sort of orange, going from ethnocentric to world-centric, and bringing us towards a recognition of the universal brotherhood of man, and realizing that, and showing that that God is willing to sacrifice Himself for out of love for all of us. And I think that's very powerful, and I think that self-sacrificing love is, it's not just what Jesus did on earth. It's what God does for us every day. That God sacrifices Himself for us so that we may achieve greater things. And I think one thing that Jesus said that a lot of Christians forget is he said of His followers that they will do the things that I've done, and still greater things. And so we are called by Jesus to do greater things than Him in His name, and so I think that's, I don't know, we have to take up that responsibility, and so it's actually not blasphemy to say that we've done greater things than Jesus, but we're guided by it. But we do so guided by the Logos, by the cosmic Christ, the same spirits that through which Jesus lived His life. And so I guess I'll leave it there. Peace.